everyone, what's up? This is Simon from DevDectic, back with a new Ionic 4 tutorial. And this time we will build a simple image capturing storage upload app. So we will use the camera or photo library to get an image. We will store it locally, so we will copy it to the folder of our application, and then we will upload it to a PHP server, backend, whatever. I'm not a PHP expert, but I came up with a little script that simply accepts a file. We can upload it to our local host and then display it on a page. Just to give you an idea how you can upload images using a simple post. So not the file transfer we used previously, but the standard HTTP post. So grab a nice cup of coffee, like I do. Still early in the morning. And then let's do this. I started a blank new Ionic app, and because I'm currently using the beta version, I have to specify type Angular in the end. Also, I already installed a few plugins, so let me bring this in. Okay, so the Ionic native camera, Ionic native file, and the Ionic web view. Very interesting package. And I used all the beta versions to get the version 5, which works the best currently with Ionic 4. So perhaps this video appears later or it exists later. Therefore, you might just need to install the standard package once they are released. And also, of course, make sure to add all the according Cordova plugins. So that means we need the camera plugin, we need the file plugin, we need the web view, and we will also need the Ionic storage, or not the storage. We already have the storage coming with our app, don't we? Ionic storage, where are you? Let's see. I thought Ionic storage is already installed. Am I wrong? Storage. Perhaps we need to install that one as well. So make sure you got all the Cordova plugins in place, and also because we work with the camera and with files, you have to test this on a real device or on a simulator. So for iOS, I was able to use the simulator as well. We also need to apply a little fix later on to the WebView plugin, because we use the WK WebView, which is the newer version of the WebView. And currently, when I recorded this, there was a little problem which simply crashed the app. So make sure to follow this to the end in case you encounter any problems with that plugin. Okay, we got storage, we got web view, we got camera, we got file. Looks good. Let's go to our app module and then simply type in, close this one, import Ionic storage module from @Ionic storage. Is this not installed? This is pretty strange, because normally this should definitely be installed with a standard version. Very strange. Anyway, make sure to import the Ionic storage module and then call for root inside the imports of your application. Also, we need the HTTP client module, and this one goes in here as well, client module. And make sure you type it correctly. And finally, also import your Ionic native packages. And now you see, because I use the beta version, or which will be the standard version later on, we use it like Ionic native web view and then ngx to import it into our module. This is the new way of doing it, and like always, we can add them right here. So web view And there we go. Of course, we shouldn't do it in here. It looked correctly, but it was not correct. Come on. Okay, now we got everything in here as well. We will make the fix later on for the plugin. For now, let's continue, or I can show you also the upload PHP. I will go over a lot of code in this example, so I will bring in some copy paste code, but you can check out the according tutorial link below this video. So first of all, my upload PHP is hosted in a local MEMP or MEMP environment, whatever it is called, where you can also test WordPress or anything else. It's just a local server, and I throw in this script, which basically accepts a file and then moves this file to our uploads folder. So create an uploads folder next to the upload PHP, and then some JSON will be returned once it's successful, or otherwise an error will be returned. And also I've put an index PHP next to it, which basically scans our uploads folder, and for every file simply displays the name of the file and the actual image. So this is my PHP. All my knowledge and skills have went into this part of the tutorial. If you have any recommendations to do it differently, please let me know below the video. For now, we can now continue with the real app. So with our home page and the TypeScript file that is linked to it. So inside the home page, let's change a few things. Ionic image upload, and then what we need in here is basically a list. So Ion list, and in this list we want to display items which are all the images we have stored locally. So let image of images, and we can also keep track of the position. Text wrap, I don't think we need this actually. And above the list, perhaps a little title, if images length equals 0, text center, please select image. So little note if we don't have any images yet. Then below this, we will have an Ion footer, and inside the Ion toolbar, again, I'm using a beta version, so perhaps some text might change, but I'm pretty sure they won't change at all over the next time. So go ahead, color primary, and then within we will just have one button that fills the whole space. Fill of this button is clear, expand is full, color is light, and then on click we will select an image inside our app. So give it a nice camera icon and set the icon to be in the slot start, so it will be at the left hand side of the button, and then select image. So that's our button, and we can also serve it if we want to see the UI, but we will not be able to make the calls with the camera and other things that are using Cordova with this example. So let's continue with the item. So every item consists of one Ion thumbnail, which will be basically the image displayed, and we will use a few properties like path and name in here. I will show you why in a second, but of course I made a mistake. So this is simply the wrapper for the slot start, and then you can use Ion image. You can also use a standard image. That's a bit up to you. This Ion image has some lazy loading included, but you don't have to use it, of course. If you want, add an Ion label with image name, and with our logic, we just store the image, the path, and the new name of the file, which we will display. But you could also have like another view where you present the image, then add a box to add some information, and attach this to the image. So many options to build upon this tutorial. And then we will have two buttons at the end of every item. And the first button will have start upload, so for one image. So we can upload all the images one by one once we've captured them. Ion icon, slot icon only this one, and then name, I think it's cloud upload. Okay, and the second button as well, slot and fill clear, and this one is delete image at the position. That's why we use the index, so we can easily remove the image from the local array, but also from the storage and the actual file system. So once all of this is finished, the view will look like this. Of course, we get an error because we haven't created any logic, so let's change this. Again, I will bring in, first of all, some of the imports without those lines, of course. And then I will add the constructor because it's so long for this example, but we will go through this in a second. Of course, we have an empty images array and ng on init, which is actually not added for this default homepage. When you generate a new page, it's always there, but for the standard homepage, it's somehow not included. Perhaps this might change over the next time. Load stored images. So whenever our app start, we want to check inside the storage if we have some stored images within Ionic Storage. So then make sure that your platform is ready, and then simply call our loading controller. No, not at all. Our load stored images. So within here, we will start with a copy and paste. So no, we're not yet starting. We add two more helper functions, which is present a toast just in one function, no problem. And path for image. If you've seen the old tutorial or the old guide on using images, we also had this to resolve the URL of an image or the path. And let's talk about why. When we capture an image and move it to the folder of our application, we could store the whole path to this file. The problem is some parts of that URL might change if the OS clears some storage and moves things around. So our file will be still there, but the path we have stored is not correct anymore. And therefore we will only try to store the name of the file, and we know in which folder we've put it. And then we can use something from the Ionic web view. That's why we installed this in the first place, to convert a file source. And this again has something to do with how the web view, especially the WK web view on iOS works. You're not allowed to use something that starts like this with file // And the web view, and especially the convert file source, takes care of transforming this URL to a special URL that the web view can handle and display. Okay, so for one, don't store the full path, and two, make sure to convert it to a valid URL that your web view can display. And this of course also works now for Android. All right, that's it. So that's a function we use to resolve all the path of our stored images. And to get the stored images, we call our storage. And if we get some images back, we first of all parse this back to a JSON object, or an array in that case, because when we save it as a JSON stringified object, so it's a big string. Basically, we have an array of images and those will be simply the names of the images. So 12345.jpg. And with this, we create a path to the current directory. So this is where we store the files. You can also pick a different one, of course, plus the name. So this is now when the app starts, the real path to the file. But as I said, we need to transform it to work with our web view. So we create another resource path, and the name of the image is in the images as well. So we got those three objects. The name is actually not really needed, we just display it. The rest path here is what we use inside our view for the image path, so it can load. But we also keep track of the real file path, because once we want to upload the image, we need to use this path. So it's a bit confusing because the post to the server needs a file object, we need to read the file, and therefore this URI is simply not working for the file reader. Okay, a lot of talk, a lot of imports. Again, all the imports and stuff you see here, best would be to check out the according tutorial. I've split out the codes in different sections so you can follow along. This is the first section inside the tutorial. Now let's continue with more functions. So there we got the select image. Select image is what we call from our view, and we just bring up an action sheet controller. Perhaps this might, okay, if I got take picture, it would work. So let me copy this in real quick and let's comment this out. So I can show you how the action sheet controller looks like. There we go. That's the web version or the Android version. Of course, on a mobile device, it will look a bit better. But what this does is simply give the option to load from library. In that case, we pass the picture source type photo library, otherwise camera, to the real take picture function. And in here, it's the same like we always do with a camera to get a picture. But what follows is a bit different. Normally, in here, we use the base 64 version of a string, and we could do this as well. The problem is if you store many base 64 encoded images within Ionic Storage or a database, those can get really big. So to improve this, we simply only want to store the reference, and then once the app starts, convert the reference to the image name to the actual path. So we only have small strings for every image, and the image lies in the folder of our app. So therefore, after we get this image path, we get the name, which is the last part of the URL, and the path to the folder, which is the path without the name. And all of this goes into our copy function and also into another helper function, which is create file name, which basically creates a unique-ish name for the file by the current date. Okay, so we've used this before. The copy to local file dir is now a bit more interesting. In here we use the file plugin, which we've installed with Ionic Native and the Cordova plugin, and this now uses the path, the current name to resolve the current file. Then we got the target directory, which is our data directory. So that's why we also know in the beginning that we can resolve it from there. And then the new name for the new file. So it takes the one file and copies it into our apps folder after we've captured it. And the success is actually not really needed in here. But what we need to do is now make sure that Ionic Storage knows about this file and our local array knows about this file as well. So let me do this again. This is now the update storages function. We go back to the storage to get our array, what we've done in the beginning. So if we haven't created anything in the storage yet, we simply create a new array with a name and save it. Otherwise, we push the name to the array and set it back to our storage. So now the name of the new file is stored within Ionic Storage. This doesn't really help for our current ng4. So we need to update our images as well. And at this point, we only have the name of the file, so 123.jpg. So again, we use this to get the real file path, or we actually might have it somewhere, so we could pass it through, but we can also do it like this. And then with the file path, create the resource path for the WK web view, create the new entry with the parameters, and then add them at the front of our array and the rest of the items of the current images. And also, if you leave out this line, the view only updates once you click again. So this is a problem with promises and updating values. And I found that using this little function simply triggers another cycle of the Angular lifecycle, and then the view is immediately updated and the image is in the array. All right, we got most of the functions in place, I think, but okay, yeah. Of course, we still have the delete function open. So let's do this. The delete function is called from the view with the image current object, which has the name and path and the resource path and the position in the array. First, clear the local array, because then the file is gone and won't be displayed. Second, make sure the image is removed from the Ionic Storage, so it's not loaded once you start the app again. And third, of course, make sure to call remove file, because we've copied the file to our folder, so we also need to take care of removing it. And that's the magic of this function. And now finally, we come to the upload part. So our apps folder contains a few images. We got the path to the images, and now we only need to upload the images. So let's now create this start upload function by hand. So it's a bit boring if I don't have any typing. And therefore we can again use our file. And first of all, call resolve local file system URL with the image entry.file path. So that's the real path now of the file, not the transformed path. And the result of this is an entry, and we can map this. So in the official tutorial, you can see I gave credits to someone else for this line and a few others. So we can transform the entry to a file entry, and then I actually got the typing completely wrong. So then we can call file on this, which returns a file that represents the current state of the file. So basically, again, callback, and with this file we can now finally call another read file function. So call this.read file. It's a bit confusing perhaps, but it totally makes sense. Perhaps add a catch block in case something goes wrong. This.present toast error while reading file. Okay, so this will resolve the file to a file entry. And can we see this file entry? Okay, yeah, this file entry now has a file or a function called file with the success and fail callback. So a callback that is called with the actual file, and this is what we can now read in using a reader. So before I make any more typos, I will do it like this. The file reader can load a file with a URL. So you define this onloaded function in here, which does something, and then you say, okay, read this file as an array buffer, and then once it is loaded, the function is called. And within the function, things now get interesting because we are approaching the HTTP call. So therefore, we want to send it as form data to PHP. Of course, this depends on your API or whatever you got in place for the server. But if you do it with form data, simply convert it to a new blob file using the reader result, and then append the file with the image blob and file name to the form data. And then we send the form data to the server, which would now look like this. Our final function, upload image data, which is a form data object. We present a loading, and then I have added my local URL to the upload PHP, and where we normally have the body, we simply add the form data. And then, of course, if successful, we present a toast. Nothing really special. So that's how to do the file upload, and hopefully everything works. So you can go ahead and let me check back this. Okay, looking good. So Ionic Cordova built iOS. I'm not sure if the web view failure also exists on Android. I just know it crashes on iOS. So we will apply the fix in a second. I think for Android, everything should work fine so far. So make sure that you got all the code in place. Again, check out the tutorial. Make sure you got the PHP stuff in place. So it is running, it is hosted. Perhaps give it a try with Postman to make a post to the upload if everything's working. And then also, you can access somewhere the page. So for me, this is the page. I don't have any images here yet. So hopefully they will come. And this is the fix to the Cordova plugin. It is still open today. So we will just go to files changed. And then I will use, where is it? The raw version. And then we will copy this stuff into the according file. So perhaps is this already iOS? Let's check where the file is. Platform iOS, didactic images, plugins, and then Ionic Web View. I think it's the Web View engine, as far as I know. Does this look more or less the same? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So once the iOS build is ready, I will replace this file, or we can replace this file, because I'm not completely sure what happens if I do it right now or before, or if this is overwritten if you do it before. But I think it shouldn't. It's just copied there once. So why not do it now? No risk, no fun. But it looks a bit different. Does it? I don't think so. So I'm also using it on the simulator, because if you deploy the app now to your device, of course, the upload URL to localhost is wrong. So you would have to use the IP of your local computer. It's possible, but I will just do it with localhost and the simulator, which works fine. So now let's see the app on the simulator. All right, there we are. The app is running on the simulator. My mighty image upload backend is waiting for requests. So on the device, we should now pick a load library, or on the simulator at least. If you use the real device, of course, you can also use the camera, same procedure. So let's add a few images to our array here. It's a nice little river. We see nothing has been uploaded so far. So let's pick this, and we see uploading, and the file upload failed for whatever reason. But this one is actually complete. So let's see. And there is the image, and also the first one. Also here. I'm not completely sure what's wrong with the cert file. Perhaps it's a bit big for our upload, but you see, we can also remove them one by one. And this not only removes the reference, but really removes the file from the device or simulator or whatever. Let me try this image again. File upload failed. No idea why. I've been able to upload this image previously, and also it works more or less for anything else, right? Huh. Very strange. So don't pick the green leaves with the yellow leaf in the middle, the file will fail. No. Here we see we got all of them. If you go to the folder, you will see in the uploads folder 3 JPEGs, and they are coming from our mighty Ionic image upload app. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you still enjoyed this a bit different form with not so much live coding, but bringing in the snippets and having more explanation on the snippets. If you enjoyed this form more or enjoy the other form, please let me know below the video. I'm open for new ideas. And also this video is now around 30 minutes, I think. And if I had done all the typing in this video, I think it would be more than 1 hour. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to run the app on a device, not the web view, not the browser preview thing, whatever. Because we're using Cordova plugins, make sure to have the PHP code in place, and let me know if you have any questions. Also, make sure to subscribe below this video for more great Ionic 4 videos, and also Ionic 3 and 2 and 1. And also check out the ionicacademy.com, which is my own coding platform to help you get started with Ionic and build awesome Ionic apps together. So I hope to see you inside. I hope to see you inside the next video. Of course, have a great day and take care.